Welcome to episode 26. Today, we're going to take on a posture of peace by strengthening ourselves in the Lord. Hi, I'm Lindsay van Zyl. Posture is a podcast that serves as a short, audible fist bump to remind you that God is in everything. Together, we're going to be emboldened to take a daily posture of perfect peace. You know, for so many of us, life has radically shifted right now with the global health crisis of the coronavirus. And so many of us are just trying to be strong throughout it all. And some of us have gotten to a place where we may be asking, how is it even humanly possible to be strong in the middle of this crisis? It may not be humanly possible today for you to be strong, but it is supernaturally possible. That is good news. You and I are not required to pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps and try to be strong today. Instead, we have been invited into a relationship with strength himself. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. I'm going to be reading from a story out of 1 Samuel chapter 30. As always, I encourage you to read the story in its entirety. I'm just going to be pulling out a few portions for us today. So in verse 6, it says, "And David was greatly distressed." Can you relate? "For the people spoke of stoning him, because all the people were bitter in soul, each for his sons and daughters. But David strengthened himself in the Lord his God." Quick backstory, David and his men returned from the war front to find the city that they left behind destroyed and all of their families taken captive. So understandably, they all lost it. It says in verse 4 that they all wept and raised their voices until they no longer had the strength to weep. I just want to point out, these were mighty warriors, okay? And they were in such a place of grief that they wept until they no longer had strength to even weep. And in this place, David finds himself not only facing his own tremendous loss of his city and his being destroyed and his family being taken, but he's also facing potential betrayal because his men are looking to him as a leader and they're blaming him for what has happened. And it's in that place that David decides to strengthen himself in the Lord. And it says in verse 8 that David then inquired of the Lord what to do. Here's what I find so interesting. David did not know what to do, but he knew the Lord. So he went to the Lord for a solution. And God says, "Go, you're going to overtake them, and you're going to rescue them." And David and his men obey the Lord. They go, they recover all of their families, and they don't just regain what was lost, but they also get spoils from the battle that they win, so they leave with more than what they came for. I'm left asking two questions. The first is, what would have happened if David had not strengthened himself in the Lord? Like, what would have happened to David or his men? Or what would have happened to the families that had been taken captive? And then with that sobering thought in mind, I'm left asking, well, how did David strengthen himself in the Lord? Because I need to know how to do that, especially now, especially today. And we find in the book of Psalms, we get great insight into how David engaged with the Lord, what their relationship looked like. And I find there's this constant theme throughout the Psalms. The Lord had David's focus, his attention, and his affection. David had a constant posture of total trust in the Lord. I think about the time that we're living in right now and the fear that is so widespread. And I think, what is feeding the fear? And I know for me, it's been the unknown. It's all that we don't know about it that's been feeding this fear and tempting us into a place of total torment. We don't know how widespread it's going to be. We don't know how long it's going to last. We don't know what's going to happen to the economy. We don't know what life will look like when all this is said and done. We don't know what's going to happen to us. But isn't it interesting that trust isn't really needed when everything is known? Trust is most authentic in the unknown. In the Psalms, David is constantly declaring his trust in the Lord through praise and worship and thanksgiving. And while David most definitely mentions his problems, crises, and losses, he marvels at who the Lord is for him. Today, let's ask ourselves, who or what has our focus, our attention, our affection, our emotions? Perhaps we need to reset today and redefine our focus. Let's today stop fixating on all that we don't know about this crisis and instead place intense focus on who we know the Lord to be. He is good. He is faithful. We find all throughout scriptures proof that he is powerful. He's a redeemer. He's a restorer. He loves us. He is for us. This type of focus reset may require that we unplug from some other sources, even for just a bit, so that we can reset our focus on the one who is most worthy of our trust. Let's acknowledge today that the Lord is way more worthy of our trust than our Facebook friends. The Lord is way more worthy of our trust than our bank account. The Lord is way more worthy of our trust than the latest news reports. The Lord is way more worthy of our affection and our attention than the disappointments of all that has been canceled, postponed, lost, or stolen because of this coronavirus. Let's be quick to strengthen ourselves in the Lord today by placing a total trust in Him. We mentioned in the last episode 25, God has never lost a battle. Let that thought, that truth, have your full focus today. The promise of perfect peace is found in Isaiah 26:3, and in Hebrew it is shalom, shalom, meaning complete wholeness, nothing missing, nothing broken. This is who you are in Jesus. Let's declare this together. Today, I am kept in perfect peace. With my whole heart, I trust the Lord. I am strong, I am victorious, I am whole. Remember, friend, you are a living testimony of Jesus' ultimate win. Not because of anything you did, but because of what He did for you. With every step you take today, you're putting Jesus' victory on display and Satan's defeat on replay.